What's up? It's Friday, April 10th. It's the weekend. What are you guys doing this Friday? Are you off work? What did you do this morning? How did yesterday go? How did your Thursday go? Mine went fine. Everything was cool. Well, actually not, but had issues with my car for the past few days. It's been an on and off thing. First with the wheel stub. Called one company, one tire place in my area, and they tried to rob me. Said I needed something I didn't. Called up there on the phone. I was like, okay, my wheel stub is broke. It needs to be replaced. And I said, how much is it gonna be? This dude proceeds to get off the phone. I knew he went and talked to somebody because he was gone for the longest. And I'm like, he wasn't looking up on no computer. He stayed off the phone probably about 5 minutes. Came back and he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna need some other part." And I said, "How much this gonna cost, including labor?" He's talking about $480. I said, "All right, bye." Call. I was like, which I knew I didn't need that. That's why I just hung up. I said, I'm finna call my brother, who's a decent mechanic, but he works on regular cars. If you're working on 18-wheeler trucks, you know what's going on with a regular car. So, cause I'm sure 18-wheelers have wheel stubs, but cause they have some the lug nuts to go on it. But my brother's like, nah, you don't need all that. He's like, you can get the real stub replaced. He's like, it only takes like an hour, and he's like, you can get a wheel stub from any auto parts store, which they only like $5. And then on top of that, he like, all you gotta do is knock the old one out and then replace it with a new one. He's like, you can find it's somebody around there that can do that for cheap. And I ended up going to somebody else. They charged me $80. So that's the moral to the story. These tire places. The place was Jim Whaley's on Southburn, in my area, but over by like where Subway is and all that stuff. The people who know where they'll know if you in my area, you know where it's at. But across from this other place, but yeah, across from this like daycare or whatever. So by daycare and like the fish place, but they cook fish and stuff, fish plates and stuff like that. But end up going there, the dude, and then end up having to go back anyway because then next thing I know, my tire ends up going flat. It was like going flat consistently. I would put air in it. I would stop at the same for Jim Whaley's, put air in it, tell him to put air in my tire because the tire kept losing air. And I went to this other guy, and he had mentioned something about this tire stem when you put the air in your tires. So he's like, you're probably gonna need another one because it's probably leaking. Because it ain't the tire that he checked it didn't have no hole in it or whatever. But he did say you probably gonna need another tire. Instead of saying exactly, I don't know why these men be hinting around about. I'm like, why don't you just say, ma'am, you need another tire? It's gonna keep happening unless you get another tire. And I could have just let him pay him like, okay, put another tire on there, and he could have got the money. But instead of him being honest, like, ma'am, you do need another tire, or your tire's gonna keep going flat. But he didn't say that. So I go on, I leave. Next thing I know, I get back in my car and leave. But my tire was low the next morning. Still end up putting air in again after going to get the wheel stub checked and fixed one morning where the guy kept my car. I had one of my church members to drop my son off at school, take me to work, and had to pick me back up and take me to get the car back for the wheel stub being fixed. So then, after taking my car back to this Jim Whaley's, and putting air in the tire, I was like, okay. Woke up again yesterday, tire completely flat. Had to call the same person that I go to church with that I normally call. Thanks, shout out to him, Rick. Shout out to Rick. But because I know he get tired of me. But I did give him something for it. Gave him some money for dealing with me. Technically it should have been more, but I don't even think he kept it, because honestly I think he gave it to the dude that fixed the wheel stub. That's why it was only $80, because I think that dude was supposed to charge me like $120, but 140. My brother said it was supposed to be like $150 to get the wheel stub fixed, no more than $200. So if your wheel stub is broke on your tire, it don't cost a lot. And don't try to let these men at these mechanics, these tire places, and wherever you go get it fixed, talk you into getting something that you don't really need, women. Because if your wheel stub break, you can get them replaced. You don't need nothing else. But so going back to the tire going flat. So I end up going to calling Rick again after it went flat. He took Aiden to school, came back, put air in my tire. I went up to Jim Whaley's, the same ones that was talking about $480 for something that I ain't need about the wheel stub. But took it to them. I was like, all right. So I was like, how long this gonna take? This is after calling. I said, how long is it gonna take? He's like, it ain't gonna take long, because I said I gotta go to work at 10. I just need to make sure it's gonna be done by 10 o'clock so I can go to work. And so get up there. It's like before 9. And probably around 8:30, I'm sitting up there. I'm like, if all y'all doing is checking to see if it needs the air stem in it, is another name for it, I forgot. But the valve stem for it, I think it's called a valve stem or something like that. But for if it needs to be, I said, does it need? So I'm just sitting there like waiting, because I'm like, it shouldn't take this long to figure out if it needed or it don't, or if I needed a new tire, because I had already been told that I was gonna need another tire by 2 other people. So maybe 3. So I asked the dude, I'm like, is something else wrong with it? I'm like, do I need something else? Because I'm like, I'm just sitting here, what am I doing? I'm like, it shouldn't take this long to figure out if I needed something else, and nobody ain't saying nothing. And so he gets up, goes, and he's like, yeah, you need a new tire. I'm like, why ain't nobody saying that? I'm like, why am I just sitting here like this? I'm like, why the time passing by where y'all trying to get money for labor time when y'all ain't even doing that, working on other people's cars. I'm like, it don't take that long to change no tire. I was like, okay, well, I'm like, how much a tire cost? He tells me $142 something dollars. I'm assuming it was like 47, 49 with tax or whatever. But then I was like, nah, it's too expensive. I'll go somewhere else. But then I thought about it. I was like, after he walked off, come driving he pissed off, because in between now, I told him the reason why. I was like, I've been coming up here, putting up, because I had an attitude, because I'm like, come drive my, and then he ran back there so quick with my key, drove my car out for me to leave. And I'm like, y'all weren't obviously doing nothing back there. I'm like, what were you doing? Just let my car sit. If I ever have an issue again, I'm just gonna go out there and look and see what they doing, because they just had my car sitting back there and doing nothing with it. I'm like, you knew 5 minutes in that I needed a new tire, and then come and say nothing. But I was like, well, I was like, okay, don't do it. I'll take it to somewhere else. And then it was this other dude sitting out there. I was like, well, if he don't, I said, if he put that same tire back on there, I said, it's going to go flat again, right? And the dude sitting out there looking crazy. This other guy comes back and he was like, what? Because the other dude was looking crazy because he was finna lie and say something he wasn't supposed to be saying. And I was like, if you put that tire back on there, I'm gonna have the same issue I've been having with it going flat. Am I correct? He was like, yeah. I was like, well, why do you say something? I was like, I don't want that to happen. I'm like, I'm trying to avoid the problem. And I was like, go on and do it. Put the tire on. So he leaves and then has my car sitting out there with the jack up with the tire off. And still, I said, right now is at this time is 9:15. I said, how long is this gonna take? He said 15, 20 minutes tops. I said, technically said 15. Then I'm sitting there, it's like 15 minutes to 10, which I have to go to work. So I get up, I was looking out. I'm like, probably like 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes in for me to go to work. And I'm like, while the car just sitting there, nobody ain't doing that to it. They just walking around doing nothing. And the dude at the desk see me looking. I'm standing outside like, okay, what's going on? I done told you I gotta go. I can't just sit here. And then he sees that I'm looking. He jumps his butt up and come out there and put the tire on in less than 3 minutes. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, you might be mad because I told you in between all this happening. I sat there and told him why they got me sitting here for nothing. Well, they could have been put the tire on. It don't take long to put no tire on. It don't take 20 minutes to put no tire on. So, especially when you're working at a tire place, I'm like, you have all the equipment. It took you a couple minutes to put a tire on. So I'm like, didn't even take that long for him to put it on. I sat there and watched him. And then on top of that, in between all that happening, I told him, I said, you know what? I said, you know what? I said, I called up here the other day. First of all, I asked him about, I said, since I was coming, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, since I was coming up here to put air in my tire, and they was putting air in my tire, and I said, they down there looking at this. They can't tell by just being down there. Like it was down there for a minute looking at this tire and then getting back up. Ain't saying, I said, can you tell looking at this, you down there messing with it? And I know the air was seeping out while you down there messing with the tire. I said, you can't tell this by like looking at it. He was like, yeah, you can. And he was like, sometimes you can't, but yeah. In so many words, he was like, yeah, you can. I said, well, why didn't they say something? Why they down there putting air in it if they can tell it? And he was like, maybe they was busy and making up excuses. Maybe they was busy and had other stuff to do. I said, no, they weren't. I said, it was nobody here. I said, they were standing out there talking to each other. I said, they were not busy. And he was like, he got to apologize. He's like, man, I'm sorry. He was like, they should have said something. I was like, well, they didn't. He apologized like 3 times. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. So he knew he had a problem because most women ain't gonna say nothing. Then on top of that, I said, I called up here the other morning asking about a wheel stub and was told, which was probably him. I probably talked to him because he at that desk most of the time. Then I tell him, I was like, well, I called up here the other morning asking about a wheel stub and how much it'll cost to get replaced. Then I'm like, well, I was told $480 for something that I ain't need. I'll have to pay for $400. It was the price was $480. They was trying to charge me for something that I ain't even need. I said, my brother is a mechanic. I said, I called my brother. My brother said, Tasha, you do not need that. All you need is the wheel stub replaced. And he was like, it don't take that long to do it. And he was like, you don't need all that. I said, what they do? I said, I took it to somewhere else and paid $80 to get it fixed. I was like, y'all sitting up here trying to give me something that I ain't even need. And he was like, well, we look in the computer and that's what it says. I was like, nah. I'm like, you're a mechanic. You know if somebody just need a wheel stub. I'm like, give me a break. I'm like, you thought I was being a fool and come up here and give y'all $500 for something that y'all could have did for 80. No more than 150 or 200. But yeah, the moral of that story is these places be trying to get over on women. They're just point blank. If they were sitting up there talking to a dude, they know what they're, hey, they know what they know. But the moral of the story, my son came up. I was saying something to him, but these places be trying to get over on women. If it was a dude, they would have told him the truth, but they thought I was gonna be a fool. Come up there and get him $500 for something that I ain't even need. So dude was pissed off, because I called him out on that, call him out and call the place out on their BS, and then gonna send me a thing to my what was my experience like, and I gave him a low rating because they made me mad. Cause I done sit there and called you out, called that place out on their mess, and you mad because I basically told the truth about what y'all up here doing. And they ain't the only one. All these places be doing that, thinking they can get over on women because we stupid and we dumb, we don't know what y'all, they think I ain't finna call somebody and get a second opinion and call around and see who else can do something. I'm not finna pay y'all no $500 that I don't have. End up paying 150 something for a tire. And then talking about you need three more. I don't care. If I do need three more, I'm not gonna get it from y'all because y'all are expensive. Nobody can afford that. People don't have no money like that unless you rich. I'm like, them rich people, yeah, charge them that stuff, but people are poor. No, ain't got nothing around here. So I'm like, I got that one. I'm like, I get, and then I need brake pads. I already got somebody to do that. I'm like, I told, is there something else I told her to do? I'm like, I also need brake pads. When he comes talking about you need other tires, I'm like, I need brake pads too, but I'm not gonna get them done here. I said I already got somebody to do it for $180. And how much y'all are charging me? 6 or 7? They be trying to charge me $800 for brake pads. Talking about I need something else. So no, I already got somebody to do it for $180. Get brake pads to put on all four of them for $180. So no, if you can find somebody else to do something for cheap, instead of these places like what I mentioned earlier, that's gonna try to get over on women, do that. Cause people don't have money, and people, they really shouldn't be that way, but their company and that's how they work. They put it out there and then like knowing you don't really need it. So instead of just being honest, cause they know you don't need all that, and they could just fix that one issue. And then there was another place that somebody else mentioned too, in this area that could have fixed it for cheap. But now I got somebody to fix stuff like that. So I won't have to go to Jim Whaley's. If the person can fix it, if the other place can fix it, find somebody else can do it for cheap. And not some kind of try to get you to get stuff that you don't need. But y'all have a blessed day. Have a happy Friday. Make sure you're taking care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Going to church. Shout out to one of my other church members that I called about my tire, Danny. He sent somebody out, Ashley, which I didn't know they was coming. But by the time the dude got here, called me, I was like, cause he let me know that somebody was coming, which was weird, cause I was expecting him to like text me back like, "Yo, Tasha, somebody on their way." I sent somebody out on their way, but he didn't do that. And I tell him in church Sunday because I didn't think he had found somebody. But I was sitting at Jim Whaley's. The other gym is two in this area. It was one on the highway and the other one on another street. Then I was sitting up in Jim Whaley's mad because them other dudes was tripping up in there. But shout out to him. Thanks, Danny, for sending somebody. Appreciate it. I let him know, but I wish he would have said something before I left. Cause I didn't think the other person, somebody was supposed to be coming, but he got tied up. I didn't think he was coming back. I'm like, is he coming back? But he ended up calling saying, "Tasha, I'm on my way." He got held up. But shout out to Danny, shout out to Rick, for helping me out when I need you guys, especially Rick, because that was the first time I called Danny. But because I didn't think Rick was coming back. I thought because he said he had something else to do, so I didn't know if he was coming back or not. But ended up going to Walmart, buy me an air pump, the kind that you can hook up to your cigarette lighter in your car. Buy one of them, buying the things that you put behind your wheels so the wheels won't roll when you were changing your tire. It was something else, some WD-40 that I got. But shout out to everybody. Hopefully you're going to church, going to Bible study, reading your Bible, praying, getting your 7 to 7 to 9 hours of sleep, eating healthy, protein, getting your lean protein in you're eating the rainbow, your colorful vegetables, eat your vegetables, all colors of vegetables, carrots, green, purple, red, yellow. So get them all in there, and make sure you're taking care of yourselves mentally, de-stressing, doing some yoga, some meditation, some deep breathing, having a hobby that you enjoy doing. Make sure you're journaling, getting your feelings out, learn how to tell people no. Take care of yourself first. Don't put you can't put other people before yourself. Some people do that. I used to, not anymore. Make sure you take care of yourself so you can take care of other people. Sometimes you can't worry about everybody else. You gotta take care of yourself. You're gonna get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm done with that. You can help some people sometimes, but not all the time. At some point they gotta fend for themselves. Trust me, because my brother told me, because he got tired of helping me. He's like, "Tasha, you gotta, like, you grown, you gotta do something." So he gave me a long story. At one point made me feel bad, but to the point where I cried. But hopefully you guys are straight. Gotta get off this phone. But take care of yourself, love others, care for yourself, care for other people. Be kind to others, be kind to yourself. Put some good energy out to the world. Be the light, be the peace, and you guys have a blessed day.